What do you get when you take a former manager plus report combo, who are now real life friends? One, a management coach and sudden viral internet star who shoots from the hip, and the other, a CX exec turned advisor who overthinks everything? This podcast. Welcome to the Business of Humans. I'm Joe, founder of CX Joe Advisory and the Overthinker. My partner in crime is Lynda. She's the founder of Leveled Up Leadership and the Internet Star. Join us as we talk about business, relationships, humanity, success, and also failure through the lens of friendship, heaps of radical transparency and honesty, and zero BS. Let's get started with today's episode.
Hi, Joe.
Hello, Lynda.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Welcome. I mean, it hasn't really been a while for us because we were catching up before this, but for the people, it's been a while.
Absolutely. For the people and even for us, there was a nice, it's been great keeping the conversation up in a million different ways, but we had our own little journey to bob and weave and get back to today's recording of the beginning of season 2 of the Business of Humans.
Yeah, and we did it. We did 10 episodes for season 1.
Yes.
We're going to do 10 more episodes for season 2. Yes. And hopefully, well beyond that. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm actually really super excited for season 2 because I think we've got some really interesting topics that we are going to, I think that we always have it because we are interesting, but I think we have some really interesting topics. Should we tease the interesting topics that are coming up for season 2?
Please do. Yeah.
Let's see. We're going to have a recruiter on, a good friend of ours from days gone by, right?
Yes.
Who's also got quite a presence.
Amazing presence. Yes.
Yeah. So she's going to come on. We are going to talk about this is like a hard left turn, but we're going to talk about grief at work, which I know both of us have experienced. And I think that's not something that we talk enough about. And I think in the States specifically, we think about what our kind of the policies are for leaves of absence for funerals and deaths in the family and how we process grief and how grief isn't like grief is not linear, right? So talking about grief, we're going to fan favorite, bring back toxic workplaces and how to navigate them.
Yes, we did find in our season 1 and chatting with our communities and looking at the numbers and everything, we did find that toxic workplaces was a topic that resonated for folks. And of course it was. It resonates deeply with us and we're human and it did with other humans too. So there you go.
Yeah. And something I didn't tell you in our catch up, and I'm going to drop a bomb here right now, but we're going to spin up a resource center for people. So in addition to our podcast, they can go get like free downloads of things like how to navigate toxic workplaces or, tips on grief at work or tips from our recruiter friends. So I didn't tell you that, but I'm actively working on getting that set up for our listeners.
Lynda, that's amazing.
I'm so excited.
In our chatting build up to pressing record, we talked about, moments of catching up that would have been fun to recreate on the podcast. Like when you confirmed for me that you really do want to come stay in my house, which is an invite that I warmly made. Yes. So there may be a date in the future. I think it would be fun to record an episode where I'm in Portugal, which is my family's plan for July. Very excited. And maybe Lynda is sitting here and has taken my chair.
CX Joe
has now told me that she's going to actually fix my whole setup of my whole audio and visual and lighting while I'm gone, which sounds amazing. But more to the point, there's always more moments that could organically occur on the actual recording, like Lynda informing me that we're going to have a resource center for in the Business of Humans. That's super exciting. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, I was brushing my teeth this morning and I'm like, why haven't I done this? We should absolutely. I'm like, oh, we need to have things for people to go and download and do the thing. So excited about that. Let's see, still season 2 topics. We are going to talk about kind of like how genders in the workplace. And I know that I sent that to you while I was in Mexico, which we can talk about my $15 Cheetos here in a minute.
Yep. And your audio message to me as well.
But I was literally like sitting there thinking in Mexico, and I had this idea, and I was like, that's it, voice note to Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, I don't even think I'd had any drinks at that point in time. I was just like, oh, I need to tell him this thing. I might have had 2 mimosas. It's fine. But yeah, so talking about genders in the workplace, and I think that that's such a relevant topic for us to discuss, especially when we're talking about being human at work. So just teasing a few of the topics that we have coming up for season 2.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. I think you did that way better than I would have. And I'm really excited for the topics. And I'm also really excited, to continue on the journey. And something Lynda and I talked about is season 2 is being recorded. It's actually not a full year later, though it feels like it's been a long time. But it's another season of life and career later. So for us on our own journeys, and then for any brave souls who we're so grateful to that tend to listen to our podcast, is kind of being on this journey with us and evolving in our solo practices and career and as people and everything. Lynda, I'm going to bring my mom into the podcast, and I hope she does hear it one day. So Lynda, I think that Lynda and my mom, Alice, have a very special relationship because Lynda conveys messages and questions to my mom through me. And through those messages and questions, I end up learning more about my mom. Lynda's on a mission to convince my mom to get her first tattoo, later in life, and we'll see how that turns out.
Convince feels like a strong word.
Convince is a strong word.
Just encourage.
Explore the idea of.
Yeah.
And I know from talking about the podcast and my career and life with my mom that my mom really appreciates you too, Lynda. And my excuse to mention my mom is, I think one cool thing about the podcast for me is just continuing to evolve into it, and having a more natural voice and just kind of leaning in as our full selves, which I don't know how you feel is maybe something that comes more naturally to you. My mom's advice for doing a season 2 is like, keep being yourself, like you were you were really holding back at first, and towards the end of season 1, like you were being more of yourself and bring your whole self to season 2. So I will endeavor to do that, Mom. And I'm happy we're doing season 2, Lynda.
Amazing. And Alice is like one of my favorite names, right?
Well, there you go.
I feel like that's why we're already connected, because Alice is it's my favorite Disney character, like Alice in Wonderland, favorite Disney character. And cause she's just like a girl on a mission, and she's just like, what's going on? Like, it's not about being saved by a prince or anything. It's just like, I don't know, I stumbled into this and I guess I've got to figure it out. I'm a big fan of Alice in Wonderland. My great grandmother's name was Alice. So I love the name Alice. It's one of my favorites.
Just firing all cylinders. You're just totally on the same wavelength in all the ways. And I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I will tell you. So I'm building a gift basket for you for allowing me to stay in your home, which we just confirmed.
Yes.
When you offered, I was like, okay. And you're like, I don't think she's serious. And I've been like for months being like, I'm going to just go stay at Joe's house. It's like what I'm going to do.
So now my first priority after recording and before we publish this is to go tell my wife, that this is the thing that's occurring.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I'm building a gift basket, and there will be a little something in there for your mother.
I can't wait now.
So I know.
I can't wait to see what it is with Lynda. I'm going to go ahead and hype you up and set expectations really high, because with you, it wouldn't be like a little box of 4 chocolates or something like that. It would be a personal gift. Oh, it's very personal. Yes. It's very personal for your mother. like a tattoo pen. It might be. So I'm excited about that. But what have we in the downtime? So I feel like we've lived a lot of life between the end of season 1 and the beginning of season 2. And one thing I want to do for the people, I believe that they got to know us a little bit. And in our very first episode, we talked about we did intros, like why we're doing these things and whatnot. I do think it's really important, though, to double down on that and talk a little bit more about like our credibility and why we're doing this thing. And it's not just, partially it is an excuse to hang out, right? Because I think both of our schedules are so busy that it can be really difficult to nail down a time for each one of us. And so it's like, well, I guess if we do a podcast, we have to speak. Oh, so I think there's a portion, there's a portion there, but I really kind of want to reintroduce ourselves. We have people who've listened
loyally through 10 episodes. And I would love some time. So this episode is going to be kind of some catch up and reintroducing ourselves before we dive back into like the heavy hitting work topics.
Yes, I love that. And I, mentioned this to you in passing before the episode, Lynda, but I'll say it now on the air that I think it would be great to actually, I'd love to interview you for a bit.
Yeah.
And then we could switch.
Yeah.
Because it's great to do, fully conversational. We do that all season. But I do find there's a certain richness, to just kind of giving you the spotlight for a bit without, jumping in myself too much, other than to just ask you a few questions and let our audience just get fully caught up, with what you've been up to and get to know you a little bit more. So I guess along those lines, I mean, one concept we talked about, and I just wanted to check in with you is, anything else to add around why the business of humans?
Well, and I would love your take on this too, but I continue. So as I've gone on this journey, like this really interesting journey that I never thought that I would be on, right? I was somebody who thought I was going to work until I retired, right? Mm-hmm. I was going to be in a corporate job. I was going to climb the ladder. I was going to continue to like have work trips and do the things. I never thought that I would be someone who talks about work on the internet, right? And helps people navigate work. But as I have continued down this journey, I have noticed, I just noticed my nail polish. Sorry, this is like the moment where I like really switch gears. True story. Well, this ties in though. This ties in. It's called Verified. My polish is Verified.
Nail polish and
it's
for
called
our
Verified
out there. So
yeah,
it's called
it's
Verified. They still have no. Okay, it's blue.
Yeah.
When I grew up, was that called like periwinkle? Maybe.
I mean, it's kind of like a periwinkle, kind of like a babyish. I'm not sure, but so true story. I got a pedicure before I went to Mexico, which we'll get into maybe. And I bought that color, and that color was called "I'm Not Really an Influencer."
No, the name was all of those words.
I'm not really an influencer. Wow. And then I found this polish that's verified. And I just felt like, first of all, the dichotomy of like, one's like, I'm not really an influencer, but I am verified. So anyway.
Right. You can
side
wear
note
both at once, then it'd be, I'm not really a verified influencer.
I am wearing both at once. It's delightful. So anyway, so okay. Yeah, I am verified. So anyway, back to this journey that I've been on. So I've been on this journey. And the thing that I have found is people don't know how to navigate work. Mm-hmm. They just don't know how to navigate work. And they don't know how to be themselves at work or not be themselves at work or how much they should bring. They don't know how to deal with toxic situations. A lot of times they don't know that they're actually part of the problem, right? So when and the thing is we watch these corporations get larger and larger and larger and lay people off and suck the soul out of these people. And people just don't know how to navigate that. And so for me, it is still so important that we talk about these topics and we talk about like, because it's humans that are keeping these businesses open. I don't care. I know we just talked about AI recently, which was a great episode. It was the last one of season 1. So you should go listen to it.
Go listen. And it's about the humanity in AI.
But it does talk about the humanity. But for me, I still feel, and I hope that I will always feel that it's so important for us to figure out how to show up at work because most of us do have to work. How to show up and be able to not feel like our soul's being sucked out or that we have to be a robot or what that looks and feels like at work. And I'm just still so passionate about it and figuring out like, and helping people. I mean, I spend all like my days just talking to people, helping them navigate how to show up at work.
I love that. And I think a lot of this, like it's corny, but speaks to sort of the why, with like the podcast and each of us with gusto, recommitting to another season and everything. And then what about in terms of, what do you feel makes you qualified or uniquely qualified to actually talk about work?
I think that that's a fun question, right? We could go down my education path, right? I do have a master's in business management. So, I
There's
mean, there's
that.
that as far as education is concerned. But I look at my career. So I've spent 25 years, for the majority of that 25 years, working for larger corporations,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even with the startups that I was part of, I was only part of one really small startup, but for the most part, I've been with fairly decent sized companies.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that makes me even more uniquely qualified, and I think that this also kind of taps that for you too, Joe, is most of my career has been spent in a customer support function
Mm-hmm.
one way or another. Even when I was working in retail, like I worked for Nordstrom, and everybody knows that Nordstrom is got some of the best customer service that you're going. I mean, it was like it's
Yeah, famous for
embedded
that.
in
Yeah.
you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've worked at a dental office where I was working with patients all day. But a good portion of my time has been spent seriously in the service of humans
Mm-hmm.
in customer support. I think between the two of us, Joe, I can't imagine how many people we've actually spoken to. You
Yes.
were talking about this keynote speaker who's like, I'm on a mission to have 10,000 conversations with former strangers. And
Yes.
I'm like, I did that in a year. Like, I mean, when I was thinking I was doing like 80 conversations a day, because both of us have been in the
Yes.
ground level, right? Like we've done the agent role. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, I did the easily 10,000
I love moments
conversations.
like that, right? And I
Yeah.
love what this gentleman's doing, and we'll talk on the pod when I'm one of his. Maybe I'll be like his 8,000th conversation, because after I saw him speak, I'm a dork, and I message him
Yeah.
and I'm like, talk to me. So we'll do that, and maybe I'll talk about it more. But those moments in career and life are interesting, right, Lynda, where someone has figured out a way to kind of bring a concept like to the masses, or maybe monetize it, and doing so, by the way, in a really cool and beautiful way. But where you're sitting there going like, dude, that's what I've always
That's what I
done.
do.
That's like
That's
a
what
year
I
at
do.
work for me. What the
I know,
heck?
right? So, so for me, like, but I think when it comes down to human interactions and seeing how people interact
Mm-hmm.
and guiding them through this, whether it's because they had a problem with their order or because, their cell phone broke or whatever,
Yeah.
I feel uniquely qualified because I have probably dealt with more humans than most humans,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I derive some kind of pleasure from that. I
Yeah.
enjoy it, and I really am good at seeing something from a 40,000-foot view
Mm-hmm.
and helping somebody step out of the weeds, right? And I believe that I am uniquely qualified in in that respect. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I feel totally qualified to
100%.
get on the internet and talk about work.
I mean, all jokes aside, very convincing, and the admiration I have for your work, and how lucky I think everyone in your orbit and who speaks to you about work and life, how lucky we all are.
Thank you.
So my next follow-up question, I'm chuckling because I know what I want to ask, and it's going to be invoking one of my favorite movies, which is Office Space. And it's been difficult for me as I go through life and become more of an old man, that more and more people I speak to haven't heard of this movie or haven't seen it. You have to see it, especially if you
Yes.
work in any kind of business, corporate setting, let alone if you work in an in-person office, it's mandatory viewing. So there's a scene where the consultants come in and they're interviewing the employees one by one. And I could never deliver it as it's delivered in the movie. But the question is basically, what is it that you do here? And so I want to know, Lynda. So we talked about the why and the qualifications. So is that what you do, or like what exactly is it that you do?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Uh, so I think, anytime that you're in an entrepreneurial role, it can be difficult to like nail down exactly what it is that you do because there's so many hats that you
Yes.
wear. But for me, so number one, I am a public speaker. So I love being able to talk about work and talk about leadership and talk about how we can show up at work and be better at work, but still do it in a way that feels genuine to us. Right. So I think that, I spend a lot of time talking about how can we do it our way, because you can go pick up a million leadership books, right?
Yep.
And I know that we both have read several, and each one of them has got a framework. And if it doesn't serve you, you walk away going, well, that was a waste of my time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I really want to convey to people when I go out and I speak in groups is it's okay to do it your way.
Mm.
Like, yes, there are ways to do it. And yes, we can talk about standard principles, but at the end of the day, like, you have to still feel good, and you don't want to feel like an imposter at
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm a public speaker. I am a private mentor, right? I take, in fact, right after this, I've got two client calls
I love that.
where I help people with their work situations. Either we're up leveling their career, or we're learning how to navigate difficult personalities, or learn how to identify patterns in the workplace that don't serve us. So I spend a lot of time doing that as well. And I'm actually, this is the first time I'm saying this publicly, but after the summer, I'm going to spin up group coaching. So I've been really, really focused on individual client coaching, which is great, but I still think that there's more people that need my help.
Right.
And for everybody, and it's not accessible for everybody to do one-on-one coaching, because it's just not financially accessible for so many people. And there's so many people who really do need my help. And so I'm going to offer kind of a lower cost option for people, and do like a 12-week coaching program to for groups of people. So you also get kind of that solidarity. Like, you don't feel like you're the only one who's going through something.
Yeah.
And we can kind of come together and, help people with work. So that's
awesome.
what I do.
That's amazing. I mean, talk about walking the walk, that we record the podcast, and then right in your next couple hours will be that sort of coaching and just delving into some of the same topics we talk about here. And I also want to say, I think there's something repeatable and admirable about the idea of sort of perfecting your craft, in one-to-one interactions. And I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I would imagine that if you did it in the opposite order, it could be harder in a way where you're perfecting your craft one-on-one, and I've impacted a lot of people, this one-on-one coaching, and you're probably readier than ever, to bring that to groups of people and like impact more careers and lives in a sense, which is really cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. And I have to share with you that, so I was at a professional conference earlier this week. It was a great experience. And then there was like that sort of, end of the trip, airport home chit chat with a group of people. Thank goodness they were amazing people, because that could be painful. Sometimes you're just tired. You want to put your, headphones in and go home. But it was a great group of people, and we were chatting. And a woman brought up an issue in her company. It's a really high growth company. And some of the talent are getting promoted to manager roles. And she told me just organically, it just came up. She's like, oh my God, they're great people, but they have no management training. They're not effective managers yet. And chaos is ensuing in the culture and at the company. And so it was one of the most organic plugs I've ever had in my life. I was like, you should listen to this little podcast I do. And especially my co-host, Lynda Harvey, that's like exactly this sort of topic she's always unpacking. And it always comes up in the wild for me. And I'm sure for you too, which is cool. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, cool. So Lynda,
yeah,
you've shared a lot already, but I guess, is there maybe any one thing that you haven't spoken about yet that you would love for the people to know?
Oh, the one thing that I would want the people to know, I think that the one thing that I would want everyone to know that's listening, at whether they engage with us or not, or go get our resources or any of the things, I want people to know that we need to have more meaningful conversations about work. Like, it's really, really critical that we start having more meaningful conversations about work. There is no way that we are going to affect change or drive any kind of movement within organizations if we are not having meaningful conversations about work. And it's not just about complaining. It's about strategizing. It's about like, how can we navigate these situations? How can we manage up? Which, Joe, I'm an expert at. Like, how do we manage up? And how do we start to shape our workplaces to fit us, instead of us trying to constantly fit our workplace?
Yes, 100%. We need to keep having those conversations. And I just had a flashback to some of our joking in season 1. So for anyone, well, if you've listened to season 1, you'll remember this part. And if you're on Lynda's socials, you'll be familiar too. But if neither of those aren't true, especially with Lynda's socials, you have to start following Lynda, and you will get gems of insight, such as, how to manage up. And at times you have to treat your manager like a child. At times you have to treat them like a pet.
Mm-hmm.
whatever the day or the situation entails, which of course for us two uniquely harkens back to any number of moments in our ancient past. People listening would never believe this, that I once managed Lynda. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Yeah. Yeah. Can
And
you
all the
imagine?
times that she employed these strategies on me.
I know.
How
I
to
believe,
tolerate your boss.
I think you saw the one about the toddler, and I
Yes,
believe I got a text message right after. And you're like,
100%.
so
Yes.
is this about
Is
me?
this
And I'm
about
like,
me?
no,
And
Joe,
I
it's
think the
not
answer
about
was sort
you.
of like yes and no, maybe.
No, it was not. I was like, no, you were not the inspiration for this post, right?
It's
Um,
not always about you, Joe.
it's not always about you.
Damn
I
it.
say that a lot at home. I'm like, it's about me. No, but yeah, I'm an expert at managing up,
Definitely.
and in all honesty, like
Yeah.
I believe that we're all managers, all of us. Like
Mm.
none of us is, all of us are managing one thing or another in our life, whether it's a household, whether it's people at work, whether it's a situation. Like we are all managers,
Yep.
and the number one key to being an effective manager is self-management, is
Mm.
understanding like how you work, how you
Mm.
respond, and how you show up.
Mm.
We should, you know what, I'm going to write this down, we should do a whole episode on self-awareness.
That's a great idea.
I'm going to
Mhm.
research that, and I'm writing it down right now. Self-awareness.
I love that. And I always, whenever I try to add on to your ideas, I always just make it 10 times cornier, which is like my specialty. But there's this whole concept of you can't love others until you love yourself. And it's interesting because as cliche as that is, I mean, it's just actually so applicable to
Yeah.
different like aspects of life. And to your point, I really think that's true. I think in terms of managing up and managing down, but if you don't know yourself, and even from a professional or career standpoint, if you don't know yourself, your working style, what pushes your buttons in both positive and negative ways, and how to get the best out of yourself, it's a pretty tall order to try to get the best out of others.
Yep.
So plus
Yep.
one to what you said, in other words.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
Lynda,
Yes.
around the time that we're recording and then shortly thereafter releasing this episode, we're nearing the midway point of 2026. Hard to believe. So as we look ahead, what's next for you in the last half of 2026?
Yeah, so I dangled the group coaching. Super
Yes.
excited about doing
Mm-hmm.
group coaching. More travel, hopefully some more speaking gigs on the things, and then of course more business of humans.
Mm.
So and just continuing to dive in and figure out what are the challenges people are having at work,
Mm-hmm.
and how can we help the people.
That's amazing. And I
Yep.
know you're going to help so many more people.
Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Okay, Joe, is it my turn? Do I get to interview you now?
I think so. I liked the first part so much better. The nerves are
I
setting in.
I felt like for you, it was kind of that kick back to your major, which
Mm-hmm.
you were an English major, but weren't you going to go into journalism, if I
I
recall?
100% was. Lynda has the best memory in the world. And my dad was a journalist for 35 plus years. My mom has a writing background as well. And I totally thought I was going to be a journalist, perhaps a sports journalist.
Yeah, yeah. Which is why you always bring the sports analogies and send me the clips of that one coach who is my favorite person ever.
Yeah. Joe Mazzulla, Boston Celtics head coach, which I am a New York area guy. I'm not a Boston sports fan, but this coach gives pretty awesome perspectives and quotables.
Yeah,
Joe Mazzulla, check it out.
He's incredible.
How much pressure is on you, coach? None at all. Don't care.
None at all.
We'll all be dead in 40 years. None of you will be at my funeral. Next question. Damn, nailed it. What a guy.
I do. So yeah, not to your journalistic
Oh, yes. I do.
aspirations. Also, I know, so I met when I was in Mexico, we met some Canadians, and I have a son who is getting close to college age. And I think McGill might have actually come up, which I believe is where you went, was McGill.
Please tell me Asher wants to go to McGill. Please, please.
Well, I looked at the cost and I was like, we are going to need to move to Canada because the cost for US people is insane.
I mean, it shot up over the years. It's still affordable compared to many private American universities. But also to your point, if you look at the table and you compare what you have to pay as an international student, and then the next tier is any Canadian, and the final tier is if you actually live in Quebec. You're like, oh my
that's
gosh,
the best.
it's like
I was
free
like,
for them.
I'm like, okay, we're learning French. We are moving to Quebec. Like, this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, of all people to say that, I actually fully believe that you might do that now.
I was like, this is where we're going. So yes, but it made me, again, that might have been shortly before I sent the voice note to you because somebody was talking about McGill.
Lynda, I don't know if we'll have a better opportunity to pause on your voice note. So Lynda sends me maybe a text followed by a voice note, and it had an idea for what I think will be one of the best and meaningful episodes of our season. And this is always what happens. And I text back and I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, what made you think of that? And so then next I got this audio message, and I told Lynda it was like this amazing audio message I've received in my life, because on one hand, it's Lynda's voice, like very intimately, probably speaking right into the whatever headphones or phone, and really sharing like some very intelligent and beautiful, thoughts about like why this episode would be so great, and like isn't part of the point of our podcast is like navigating through workplace scenarios, and also everyone being able to bring their whole self to work, and all these things that are wonderful. And in the background, what I hear is like shots, 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 and like raise your hands, and like just absolutely beach vacation party insanity. And just like the two of these together, absolutely priceless.
Yeah, I think I was like, I'm sorry, I need to stop. I'll send you another voice note because Cancun.
Yes. In the part 2, there was still the same like audio, but the audio of your voice was like a higher percentage of the overall experience in the second one, which told me that you kind of like scurried down the beach or something.
So yeah, good times. All right. Well, the spotlight's on you, Joe.
Great.
Okay. So I gave a little bit about the why for me, the why for the business of humans. What gets you here? What brings you here to this podcast?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very big on sort of acknowledging like the selfish thoughts and then the slightly less selfish thoughts. Selfish thoughts are, just knowing that our recording sessions would bring me joy and fulfillment, and just kind of add richness, to that whole day or that whole week. And like Lynda said, we have a really fun and kind of unique friendship that is born out of our prior relationship, working together and running a department together. And it's just, kind of a blast and a kick that we're here all these years later. And so I like, this is actually one of my management philosophies that I try to bring as a friend and partner to the podcast. So to where, like, for example, if you're in your job for 6 months or a year, that it's actually really healthy to pull up and be like, is this the best thing for me? And maybe go interview somewhere else and see how you feel. So similarly, in a very corny, I'm sure, annoying way, I was kind of encouraging myself and Lynda to think like, should we do it? Should we recommit to season 2? We're both back and we want to recommit. And I think for me, it's like, fun and fulfilling and all the things I said it was in the beginning, and getting to hang out with Lynda and just adding richness and something different, to my day. So as we'll talk about, some of my day ends up being talking about, technology vendors and AI strategy and contract negotiations. And I actually do enjoy that, thankfully. But at the same time, recording this pod and kind of this whole part of my life and career that is this pod, I think really rounds things out and adds richness. And then the slightly less selfish part, and, Lynda knows, and anyone who listens knows, I'm not big into exaggerating or trying to make what we're doing a bigger scale than it is. Maybe it'll keep growing, but what is already true and what is very sincere is, having real life moments where either it's one of our brave, listeners who does follow us and say, hey, I really get something out of the podcast. It helped me navigate a career situation, or it helped that week be a little bit better. Or having moments like I talked about before, where I was talking to somebody who I don't think was aware of the pod, but I recommended it to her. And I did so because she was, kind of talking about and struggling with the exact topics that you/we try to unpack on the podcast. And moments like that give me conviction that it's worth it to go forth.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So the elephant in the room, or maybe the green sign that's behind you in the room.
Amazing.
So I often joke that I can't tell you what my husband does. He does something. He does some things. I know where he works. Joe. That is also a joke that I kind of share at home.
Yes.
What is it? My podcast husband. What is CX Joe? what is it that you do? How do you fill the hours? And what is CX Joe?
Thank you so much for asking. And not to go totally off the rails, but I can't help but laugh with that intro of your question because I've always felt like what I had done previously for most of my career, which you could call like a department head in customer service or experience,
Mm-hmm.
that for whatever reasons was always hard enough to explain as it were. And now that
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing more of this solopreneur venture and it's
Mm-hmm.
basically a customer experience or CX advisory, oh my gosh, now when I get into work stories with my wife, and bless her, she does great and keeps up and asks all the right questions. But with my best friend, I feel like I've added more chaos and complexity to it, where for the other person listening, it's just not even fair. It's just freaking bizarre. The stories are disconnected. My 1 p.m. has nothing to do with my 2 p.m. and so forth. But in my mind, it all makes sense. And so
Yep.
basically, Lynda, thank you for asking. And I made the transition from having a real normal job of leading a customer service, or we like to say CX department. In my particular space, or kind of our space that you've branched out, we think about customer experience as being a more inspiring, kind of holistic, strategic version of customer service.
Mm-hmm.
So, whereas customer service, I mean, anyone could picture like any product that either you enjoy or a place you have to call, like you're a cable company or whoever. You know, you call, you text, you email with a question, and we all know how it feels if that goes really poorly and is super
Mm-hmm.
frustrating, or if it goes really well and you're surprised and going, wow, that actually, like, that was a blast. That person really cared. I'm more likely to use this brand or this product or this service. So, my whole career has kind of been around how to make sure that companies that I work for or with fall into the good bucket of
Mm-hmm.
customer service slash experiences that you have that make you want to go back and be a loyalist and a customer, you know, follower of that brand for your whole life. So basically, the shift that I did is going from doing that full time for one company at a time to then starting an advisory where the idea is how could I have that sort of impact and help as many companies as possible, again, to fall into that good bucket
Mm-hmm.
of making sure
Mm-hmm.
that their customer service slash CX is a competitive differentiator, a loyalty driver, a growth driver for their business. And believing, as I think more in the world, more and more of the world, thankfully, is on board
Yeah.
with believing that that actually is very important, and that the customer service team is not just in the background. They're not what we would call in business a cost center, but that it actually, you know, could be a big part of the business's identity. These could be brand ambassadors, so to speak. They're the ones speaking to your customers. So to
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
value that and honor that and know that that could be a huge differentiator for your business. How that plays out and where it gets a little bit wonky, especially because I want my advisory to be a little bit different. But basically, I work with brands on that mission, and that
Mm-hmm.
could either come in the form of traditional consulting work, like a paid audit or particular project that they'd like me to help with. I actually love even more what I call the free to brands model. And so,
Yep.
what I'm doing at a higher velocity is actually spending time with brands, not sending them an invoice, having no hourly rate, but instead, I like to think of it as I jam with them, I play with them, I'm kind of their trusted advisor. They have me on speed dial, and we talk about everything ranging from managing their team to their overarching strategy around running a
Mm-hmm.
great customer, you know, experience team. And then we do also delve into any technology partners or staffing partners that they need to build that world class team. And what's cool about what I've set up and what I really enjoy is then I'm besties with a lot of the world's best technology, whether it's AI or broader tech, and talent and staffing companies that partner with teams like service and CX and retention teams. And so, since
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of besties with both sides and I'm very, very discerning in who I play with and do business with, I could
Yes, you
then
are.
kind of matchmake, and I could bring a brand, you know, to maybe two or three finalists to provide the exact kind of technology that they need. And if they agree with me that it's an amazing fit, they go through the whole thing, they sign a contract, and actually the business, the vendor, is the one who helps me to pay my mortgage and kind of takes care of me. And
That's
I
wonderful.
see that as a cool, like, win-win-win opportunity for everyone. And then in some cases, I will go yet deeper with one of the partner companies, again, let's say a technology company in our space, and do consulting with them and help them to actually make their product better and better for customer experience leaders and better for customers. How should they go to market, so to speak, and grow their business? And then along the way, I know, as I know you have too, Lynda, like that's sort of some kind of explanation as to what the business is and how it monetizes and pays my mortgage. But doing this sort of thing, as I know for Lynda too, it's a joy, because now that I kind of have the shackles off and I'm free to plan out my week, we also just end up meeting a lot of interesting people and kind of partners in business, and always figuring out, like, I know it's really corny, but how to drive these sort of win-win relationships with, different folks that we come across now in the industry.
Yeah, I love that. And I think one of the things that you and I had, because one day we could unpack like how we met and the tumultuous kind of situation that we both kind of came into, right?
Yes.
Hashtag toxic workplaces. Anyway,
Stop it. It was not that bad. But when you're dropped into a digital room and told to run a growing
yeah,
department with lots of humans together, and you've like never met or given each
yeah.
other the permission to be in that room, then it's challenging, but we navigated
We did, and we came out the other
very
side, and
well.
we're doing the pod.
Here we are.
But the thing I think that you and I always really agreed on was that the service really matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I really admired about you from the beginning, and I don't know that I've shared this with you, but you were always like, how can we make it better, and how can we pay our people better, and how can
Mm-hmm.
we have better tools for them?
Mm-hmm.
Where so often, and you said the C word, the cost center,
Mm-hmm.
being looked at so often, and feeling that, as I had a very lengthy career at the time you and I had met,
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out how to always do more with less, and to have you come in and say, okay, well, let's spend a little bit of money, let's do these things.
Yeah.
And the dedication that you had to improving that service, and improving, because if you have happy agents,
Mm-hmm.
you've got happier customers,
Yep.
just plain and simple. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always admired that about you. And I think there's no one better to do that thing where you can come in and you're like, listen, I don't have skin in the game, but I want
Mm-hmm.
to help you
Mm.
figure out how to like provide better for your customers. And we all know, like, on a balance sheet, it's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to acquire a new customer,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And understanding that, and coming at it from, hey, like, best brands are built through customer support.
Mm.
Period, the end.
Mm.
And you understanding that, and being able to come in and advise that way, and then assess the tech stack and make sure that the agents have the tools that they need to do the work that they do, or pairing them with a company that can help staff,
Mm-hmm.
like find the right staff for them. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Lynda. Very meaningful to
Beautiful
hear you
thing.
say that. It's still obviously an area I'm very, very passionate about. And, it's like when you look at the outcome of a happy customer and what that means for business, but also just knowing that a human being had their day brightened, it's like everyone could agree to that. That's easy. It's sort of the how to get there that could be a little
Mm-hmm.
bit tricky, and where I'd like to consider myself a bit of an expert on that, as you have
Mm-hmm.
been throughout your career as well.
Amazing. Amazing. And, you talked a little bit about how you do some consulting, but, and a lot of this does sound like consulting. So
Mm-hmm.
but it also sounds like you're wearing two different hats. So just kind of, again, so I can explain what my podcast husband does. Like, what, how is that different
Yeah.
than just being a regular consultant?
Totally. And you're making me laugh, because I just remembered there were like some one conversation or another I was in a couple of months ago, and I was chatting with someone. They're like, "Oh, so you're a consultant? It's a consultancy?" And I was like, "I'm an advisor." They're like, "Okay, dude, weirdo, whatever you say." Like, totally patting me on the head. No, the language shouldn't be too important, but I mean, I've always been, when I worked for companies, I actually
Mm-hmm.
always enjoyed working for places that swung for the fences and had some higher ambition, whether or not it was fully achieved, right? And so I'll say this with sincerity and positivity. Like, when we worked at Daily Harvest together, for example, and the business was growing, and during the years everything was going right, one of the things that motivated the team was like, if we keep growing and then we get to a certain place, and then we could influence other companies who are in the food space or whatever, and we all band together, like, who knows, maybe we could change the food system and change the planet a little bit. And I would think that
Mm-hmm.
it's a high, like, it's a stretch, but in a good way. So I've always like
Yep.
stretch goals is my point. So
Amazing.
today, and on a given day, people might see one of my deliverables or a few of my meetings. They're like, dude, like it's fine. Get over yourself. You are a consultant, like in the space you've always been in, and that is fine. But I think my stretch goal, my ambition here is to build more of a community and to
Mm-hmm.
have some tiny little impact in my little corner of the world, just on how people work with one another and treat one another. And basically, my what drives me
Mm-hmm.
really is, as corny as it is really helping other people and elevating them and being in service to them. Now, I'm not a BSer. I do
Mm-hmm.
not only have to pay my mortgage, but I enjoy making money, and I enjoy if I make more money in 1 month than the prior, because I'm human, and that's part of how my brain works. But it's also very sincere to say that what I'm enjoying so far and what I want to keep building out is basically the structure where some of the time that I spend monetizes in some way, and that's great. But actually, the better that those time slots go in a funny way, the more it allows me to have lots of other time slots where that's not my entire focus.
Yep.
So how do I split up that time? It's basically, I mean, some of it goes back to me, and this would harken back to season one of where we both were coming from in our career. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just the ability to take a deep breath or take a 15-minute walk in the day, or chew your food and swallow and stuff like that, or keep up with family and friends is great. But another thing that I actually spend a pretty significant portion of my week on is spending time with people in the CX community,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes fellow leaders. It could be peers of mine, deeper in their career, sometimes younger in their career. I mean, heck, it could even be the vendors on the technology side, but not talking about strategy and product roadmap, or again, anything that monetizes directly, but more so just trying to give advice and assist the people, help them along, help them to feel more successful, more empowered in their job. So that could be spending hours with somebody where, again, there's no exact idea. There's not like a technology deal they're running that week. But I'm just really enjoying spending time with them, and they give positive feedback on like, hey, I'm finding this helpful. It's cool to have access to like your career's experiences and to have a listening ear. And I'll invest a lot of time into that person and that department, knowing that maybe this leads to business, a year from now, maybe not, but it's cool. Other times I've really deep dove and spent like 10 or 20 hours with one person who's just was at an inflection point in their career and wanted advice and connections and perspective. And I'll just really lean in with that person, again, knowing that this is basically a win-win. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
this person will be in a position later in their career and we could do some business together, but maybe not. And it's just super fulfilling. So I really love that aspect. And I guess that's, a lot of what I'm up to. And so that more kind of medium long-term planning and community building aspect, and being in some sense of service to others, is what I hope kind of puts me apart a little bit from like a traditional, consultant.
Amazing. Amazing. And is this all hypothetical, or do you have you made some matches? Have you made some matches made in heaven?
Yes, I've made some matches made in heaven. And so, the business is building, or kind of consider myself on the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm solidly on the journey. I've shared with Lynda, probably our listeners in season one. I had this idea when I started the advisory to think, could I basically bring in income and support the family in a similar way as I did at my highest paying ever executive job, that was super hard and stressful and didn't afford a good work-life balance and feelings of agency and ownership. So could I get back to that point doing this crazy little CX Joe thing? So, we're only a few months in. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm on the journey. I'm building momentum and finding it really fulfilling. And yes, there's been, to give everyone an idea, I've had the pleasure of working with, either doing paid consulting work and or making successful, I think, elevating, empowering matches and recommendations to some really phenomenal brands, including ButcherBox, Pros, which is a wonderful custom hair care skincare brand,
Mm-hmm.
Unreal Snacks, which you see around everywhere and are really delicious, Smalls Cat Food, Evolve GLP, and several more. But these are a few examples, and I love it, as you could tell. So those are kind of like the little logo wall that I'm building for my own advisory, but it hopefully also gives my friends and listeners a sense of the diversity that every day brings, and kind of going into different businesses and industries and helping them to make their CX great and treat their people well and all of that. It does fulfill me. It's nice.
Amazing. Amazing. And so what's next? I mean,
So,
we talked about like the
yes.
latter half of I mean, because we're almost halfway through the year, which is bonkers.
Mhm.
But what's next?
Well, what's next for me is, I always think of that in two ways because I do actually I have open deals and projects and engagements that I'm genuinely excited about. And so seeing those come to fruition is exciting. It both builds the business and kind of supports
Yep.
that logistical life, financial goal that I have. But I also am feeling a lot of fulfillment and seeing some of those projects again, come to a completion. So like one of those brands I just mentioned, I've been spending a lot of time with over the last couple of months, and we're working on basically all of their technology needs. I'm able to be a listening ear and an advisor to a very senior leader just around the best way, again, to treat his team and build his team for the future. And just seeing some of that come into place, over the next few months will be awesome. Will it hopefully
I
make me a
love
few
this.
dollars? Yes. And I lean into that. But on top of that, it will hopefully help this great group of humans that I've gotten to know to be more empowered and successful and fulfilled at work, and then to serve their hundreds of thousands or millions of customers better. And again, I'm not going to exaggerate the impact that is, but it's something. It's a teeny little
Yeah.
tiny dent, and it feels good. So land more deals. I'm working on some new partnerships again on the B2B space. And for a kid who started out as an English major and just picking up a phone call and knowing nothing, to say with a straight face that I could advise, AI and technology companies on their go-to-market strategy and how to like win in their space. Again, it's corny, but it is empowering for me. It's fun, and so I'm working on some new partnerships in that direction. And then, of course, because it's me, I have to end on a really corny note, which is again, I just I really hope, like, a stretch goal of mine is that without me having to force it, I hope that
Hmm.
there's a sort of organic desire and pull, from my little teeny tiny community that I'm building for it to turn into even more of a community. So in the future, are there ways that I could get these different people together, like this amazing CX leader and human who I spoke to on a Tuesday, and then another one on a Friday, and then the next week? Like, I don't want to force it, but I think that there are ways in the future where maybe I could, bring people together and kind of offer people just a really warm and enriching, kind of community and just group of fellow humans where everybody's helping each other out and
Hmm.
pulling off the same kind of corny win-win that I've been talking about of like, yeah, let's all try to succeed in our career and make enough to enjoy life and travel and support our families. But let's try to go about it in the way that makes a small positive dent and lifts each other up as well.
I love that. Amazing.
Thank you.
Well, well, I think I'm hoping that the people feel like they know a little bit more about us. I mean, it's no
Yes.
Colbert questionnaire, right? Which I don't know. Maybe one day we'll plagiarize that and do a Colbert questionnaire for the
I
two of
can't
us.
remember exactly what that is, but it makes me think you're going to hit me with rapid fire questions, which makes me very nervous.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what's your favorite sandwich?
Maybe that one I could handle.
That's a tough one. Like, what is your favorite sandwich?
Lynda, what is your favorite sandwich? You're
I mean,
hilarious.
I do love like a good Reuben.
Hmm.
Like, I do love a
Yeah.
good Reuben as long as it's not like too fatty. Because if it's
Hmm.
too fatty, then it's all over for me.
Yep.
But I mean, who doesn't love like a PB and J,
Mm.
right?
Good PB&J is classic. There was a
And
place
I
in New
mean,
York, I don't know if it's still open, the Peanut Butter and Jelly Company or something like that. All peanut butter and
oh,
jelly sandwiches. Amazing.
and I mean, tacos are basically a sandwich,
Hmm.
right? So, you know, I don't know.
I like how you're throwing out that fireball of controversy to anybody who
I
cares
mean,
about the taco or this anyone in the taco sandwich community. This is a big debate whether a taco is a sandwich.
I do not believe a hot dog's a sandwich. So,
I don't think either of them are sandwiches.
I mean, it isn't everything a sandwich, really.
If you want it to be, if you say so,
You
Linda.
know what sandwich I don't like? I'll tell you the sandwich I
What?
don't like. The shit sandwich in management, where they're like compliment, feedback, compliment.
Right, right, right.
That is not acceptable.
Yeah, and it's sometimes called the praise sandwich, but that's a misnomer because it's the sandwich is always named after what's in the middle. It's like the two
Yeah.
pieces of praised bread, but
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
big pile of poo in the middle.
Yeah, we don't like the shit
So
sandwich. So
yeah,
there's
no, you're
that.
definitely,
What
you know what
about
I don't like, and this is
what?
a big thing in my career actually. I don't like sweaty lunch meat. So when I
Oh.
worked at Siki, I mean, bless you, Siki, because they did provide, it's great. It was like free snacks and food, and so they gave us the materials to make sandwiches every day. But I have to say that lunch meat was exceptionally sweaty. And so my team always knew that they could find me in the kitchen with, I would take out like four, like roll out like 4 tears of paper towel. And then I would remove my meat, and I'd be like almost gagging as I did it. And then I would not only towel dry it, I mean, I was like wringing it like you wring a towel, and like pounding like my elbow on the desk. And they would just walk in and be like, "Oh my God, Joe," and then I'd see them watching. And go, you know what I really hate is sweaty lunch meat. They're like, "We know, we get it. You've talked to us about it." Still to this day, towel dry that lunch meat, Lynda. Highly recommend.
Oh, I'm a big fan of laughing until I cry. And that did it. That did it for me. The pile drive to the paper towel.
And then if you ever really want to torture, like I feel like my older son would do this to my younger son, or maybe vice versa. Just dangle the sweaty paper towel right in someone's face.
Gross.
It's delightful. Was this on the agenda to talk about today?
Always.
Good.
Sweaty lunch meat is always on the agenda to discuss. Well, the best news is do you know what I just did there? I got you to tell me the thing that's got you hot under the collar.
Damn it, you tricked me. Sweaty lunch meat. Can't stand it.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm so proud of myself. I did it, Lynda.
You did it. You finally got the thing that's got you hot under the collar.
Do you have something? It's got you hot under the collar?
I always have something that's got me hot under the collar.
Pick one or two.
So let's see. What has got me hot under the collar? So recently I traveled, and just people who go in the bathroom without shoes on.
No comment from mine. Please go ahead.
That just gross. Just gross.
Do you mean in the airplane?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And honestly, and then
off, you realize
if we're gonna get really weird, men that don't sit down and pee in an airplane bathroom, just sit down. Like there's urine all over the place. And people are like, well, that's like that in bathrooms too. I'm just like, maybe. But the difference is the bathroom isn't shaking while you're in there trying to go to the bathroom. So I don't know. Men, sit down to pee when you're using an airplane lavatory.
Lynda, I feel very typical of you. I feel like you upped your game. I came in hot, and we were so proud of me for the sweaty lunch meat, and I feel like you just elevated your game so that you take the cake. Like
it really wasn't about one-upping. It was just like, I mean, this is kind of how the thought process goes for me. Is like it starts here and then it takes a left turn,
right?
And
and both of ours were kind of about condensation.
Yeah.
Of some sort, liquid.
Moisture.
Some moisture.
Yeah, moisture.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Good times. All right. Well, Joe, we got something. I feel like the people know us. We got the conversation.
Something.
Season 2's kicked off. Anything else you want to add for the people?
Moisture. I mean, we've got it all. I think we could safely promise that not every episode this season will be this gross.
Or odd. But we can absolutely guarantee that they will be awkward.
Excellent. On that note, where do we go from there?
I think we just tell the people thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment, do the things.
Thanks for listening. Thanks, Lynda. See everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye.